What I did is that I found this place, Piat, first before writing the story, you know. So it's like documentary, you know. You find the place. Normally in fiction, you know, you write the story and find the place. And here it was the opposite. I find this place, which is quite amazing, this zone. And I decided to create a story around the zone. And I was looking for a real story. So I did a lot of research and I met a lot of people who were living in the zone, some people who experienced Chernobyl, and I took a lot of story from reality, and then I mix it with something, maybe some kind of personal story that I have. It was not very easy to make because we shot in Ukraine, and in Ukraine a fiction is a fiction, which is, it's not like people are making film in a old way, you know, like a big crew, and everything has to be planned, everything has to be really scheduled. So it was a lot of conflict, in fact, with the crew. And what was interesting is that I was also with the French crew inside the Ukrainian crew, and they were much more flexible and they were understanding much more what I was, you know, what I was trying to do. And I think in Ukraine they are not used to film like that, you know, and to take a risk to go in the zone and to film in real place, and to sometimes to be what do you say, small crew, you know, so. But I managed to do it. Chernobyl is still a very big taboo, in fact, in Russia and Ukraine, and it's not very clear what happened, and they don't really want to talk about it. They are not interested in talking about it. And we even tried to make a co-production with Russian. We have some co-production with Ukrainian. But what was very strange when we were in Moscow, that people were not so interested in the subject, but I know that it's a mistake, because the public, I'm sure, is interested, because I know there was a book was published about the catastrophe and did very well in Russia. Was sold like 2 million books. Maybe that's why they don't want to talk about Chernobyl so much, because they're still constructing, you know, power plant. And you know what was very, very shocking for me is that when I was in Chernobyl the first time, there was still people working on the nuclear power. Actually, still now people are working, but there was still nuclear power that were open around Chernobyl. And it was so dangerous, because the place itself is not safe, you know. Like you have this sarcophage that they constructed, which is very, very, you know, fragile and can explode. And if it's exploding, where the other reactor are still working, it's just like the end of Europe, you know, basically. What interests me until now, what I did, even in my documentary, is a place. Is to start with a certain place, you know. And within this place, I started to look for stories that are belonging to this place. And in fact, the main character of the film is the place itself. You know, there is a lot of story, you know, around the zone and all that. But the most important subject, the most important character is the place itself. You know. And it's not the first time I do that, you know, in my film, even in documentary. I was doing a film that was called Odessa, which is about Odessa, and I started to look for characters and stories. So while I'm interested in a place, I start to look for stories, which are, in this case, were a real story. And I start to write about, I interview a lot of people. I do, like, you know, research, like I interview people. And I have a lot of stories, and I start, maybe I keep 2 or 3 stories, and I try to find the link between the 3 stories, or between the stories, which are around the place in general.